rFactor 2 had a huge Q3 update recently, and I thought I'd take some time just to run through it. Now, rFactor 2, owned by Studio 397, moved to a quarterly update cycle, much like you get from iRacing and some other sims. I found this a great move because rFactor 2 did suffer for some time with just here and there updates. While valuable and needed by the community, they were somewhat all over the place and they would seem really small and give the impression there wasn't that much progress going on with the sim. But this quarterly update cycle, it's really changed things. We get a chunk of content, we get a chunk of updates to the sim, and it feels really worthwhile. Before we carry on with the video, please make sure you're hitting that like button and also subscribing to the channel. Let's continue on then and start looking at the update. Now, I am going to run through all of the notes, having a good look at it. rFactor 2 is one of my favourite sims. And I'm so glad that they've got this update cycle going on and that the update's so large. It's just so good to see. But first of all, we've got this whole section here which is based in a huge way on, frankly, an iRacing type track cutting situation. So you have updated track limit system taking into account many factors to award warning points for infringements, with drivers given a short amount of time post-cut to give up any time or positions gained. So if you run wide but you keep it pinned, think cops at Silverstone. Running wide there can be somewhat optimal, can't it? So imagine running wide there and it actually saves you some time. In an esports or an online type situation, you'll get something come up on the hood telling you need to give up a certain amount of time, and you'll be given an amount of time to do so. Otherwise, you'll receive a penalty, which we'll look at in a moment. Now, abilities to set track limits to none, default and strict. And ability to configure number of track limits points before drive-through during sessions. Really good flexibility there for league admins. Improved calculation of infringement during time off track, which takes into account time gained, distance travelled, throttle application, time off track, speed differentials, positions gained during the race, wall riding, and more. So it's a really substantial update, and you know it shouldn't be ignored that this is really positioning rFactor 2 for its competition system. It's online. And I think this can only be a benefit to the sim moving forward, because at the moment there's one big player, iRacing. And while people love iRacing and a lot of people are very into that, and that's the thing for them, that's absolutely fine. Other users like myself will enjoy the fact that there are options to that, and that there are other ways we can go with the games that we play, and options, you know. It'll invalidate laps, and it will also give warning points. If 3 are acquired in one go, or you pass the cumulative point limit threshold by 5 by default, a drive-through is given. The size of the penalty increases for extreme cuts. Now, look, in sim racing, the racing is generally much better than if you've got a Formula 1 or something like that game. But this is fantastic because it just ups the standard. It ups the standard, it ups the etiquette, and it really elevates what we're expecting, right? Strict mode, intended for esports, has harsher thresholds and invalidates all off-track laps in non-race sessions. Honestly, I'd be quite happy to run that most of the time myself. Disabled pit exit violations by default on ovals in non-race sessions, but that can be edited. Upped support to up to 16 input devices. I guess that's for motion sims and things, because I actually tried to think about this. 16 USB inputs, that's a lot of inputs, but good to up that. Added chat message indicating collisions are off and such like. Added track limit points to penalties, MFD page, in race sessions, so on the hood. Graphics, driver labels now correctly, depth buffer, added light dust particle in profile, expanded decal features on IBL road shader, beyond me, fixed orange ambient bug. Now, UI. We have moved electronics, setup settings, fixed damage multiplayer, moved damper setup settings to their own tab, fixed sporadic empty car list on server join, added track limits rules, added track limits points awarded. These are important things, obviously, with the new track limits warnings and things like that. Now, I'm sure later on in these notes there is something about tender springs, so we're gonna have a section on that, and the one below. Improved description tooltip for traction control and ABS. Fixed alphabetical sorting of opponent filters and opponent list. Fixed race countdown timer format. Added updated Aston Martin logo. Added button to refresh the setup list. Added 2 settings into the visuals column in graphics settings to adjust the vertical and horizontal position of track limits info screen, and fixed alphabetical sorting of car selection lists. So, you know, quality of life UI improvements there. Physics. We're going to have a whole section on this, and in fact I have another video on this. Dynamic track temperatures based on weather conditions and cars driving on track, Real Road 2.0. Added a toggle to load temperatures from real road files on main game mod dev Deddy. Added improved anti-lock braking and traction control systems, only available on the test version of the McLaren Senna GTR. Now, I might do a video on that. I might do a video on that and see if I can feel any difference, and if I can make the video. Added traction control power cut map to control the amount of TC to apply, only available in the new TC. Added traction control slip angle map to control the target maximum slip angle before TC activates, only available for the new TC. Added ABS TC dash LEDs to show the amount of slip to show when systems are active. Now, it's my understanding that a lot of games and sims have sort of, if you like, they do have traction control, but not a simulation of traction control. It doesn't work how a real traction control does. So I don't fully understand it, but I think this is a move towards that more simulated real traction control. Added tender springs functionality, only available on the test version of the Porsche 991 GT3 Cup. Fixed ABS TC aid through settings. Networking. Cars that lag too much or teleport will have collision disabled for 5 seconds. Fantastic. That's really good. It's a really simple thing. Well, in my head, it's a really simple but good quality of life. There's nothing worse on any racing game than being behind someone that's lagging and teleporting about. You know, you sometimes get really extreme cases of it, you know, all over the place. It's pretty rare, but you do. So that's a really good little quality of life thing. Network speeds now enforce the player limit to max out at highest acceptable number the connection can support. Sound. Fixed loops not restarting correctly. Fixed loud audio spike when loading into multiplayer sessions. I remember that. Separated TC and pit limiter events. Fixed random shift sounds in garage. Audio loop points. Fixed spotter start lights not playing or being delayed. Fixed startup sound. Performance. Sound system now uses another thread. Eliminated random frame time spikes and improving game performance. That's good. That's good. So a little performance improvement there. So the sound has been moved on to another thread by my understanding. So that's good. Fixed tracks with lots of ambient sounds not playing any sound at all in some conditions. Fixed other cars crashing online sounds playing the other player car. That has been a bug forever. Literally, like, if it's the one I'm thinking of, like, forever. In rFactor 2. Like hitting bollards and stuff. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it's referring to. Someone could be the other side of the track, but you'd hear it. Fixed HRTF selection, no idea. Fixed a rare crash when crashing sounds play. Live stream overlay, updated broadcast overlay timing page. I'm thinking this is to do with like broadcasting rather than a streamer like myself. Could be wrong. If you know about that, please let me know down in the comments. Modding. Batched loading warning pop-up messages together for fewer pop-ups. Added warning pop-up for assets exported with default LOD out of optimization debugging. Added cancel button to show no more messages that session. Fix various content issues with showrooms and Joesville. Added side view UI showroom to mod dev for UI screenshots of cars. That's pretty cool. Fixed an issue in map converter where it would crash with textures. Added firelight parameter to IBL shaders in material adjust section, which this allows to set materials to be shadow beyond shadow cascades. Fixed crash when no AIW file present. Known issues, steering lock second bracket is cut off. Okay. Now, Real Road 2, I've done an entire other video for that, which should be popping up somewhere on the video right now. Now, I haven't read any of these. So, new traction control and ABS feature. The new ABS functionality utilizes the same ABS onboard map as the original implementation. However, with these new developments, drivers will be exposed to a much more accurate and realistic set of behaviors. Under heavy braking, when the tyres start locking up, the ABS will activate and releases the brakes on an individual wheel basis until the grip returns and the ABS turns off again and the brake pressure returns, exactly mirroring the mechanical functionality of real-world ABS behavior. This is what I was just talking about with traction control. It was my understanding that it would kind of recognize you were locking up, or indeed you had tyre slip with traction control, and it'd like cut power, but it wasn't actually simulating real world situations. This is exactly what we should be looking for. ABS working hard, expect quite a jolt through the force feedback. In terms of traction control, in this new build we have 3 onboard TC maps. They are as follows: onboard TC, power cut TC, slip angle TC. The power cut TC controls how much power is cut when TC activates, with a higher map value simulating higher level of power reduction. The slip angle TC controls how much lateral side slip, so if you're coming out of a corner and you're losing the rear, is what I would think, with a higher map allowing less slip. Not all cars have these 2 settings, so one or both of these may be disabled, in which case they are controlled by the main onboard TC map. Next to this, the onboard TC map also controls the longitudinal, so pure acceleration out of the corner. The driven wheels can have before TC kicks in. Again, a higher map means less allowed slip. Furthermore, additional dashboard ABS TC lights will be introduced to cars with these features enabled. Fantastic. Now, there's a little bit here about the track or cut track functionality, and I think we kind of know what this is about. This is for cutting corners, running wide, and yeah, basically. Track cutting, for the purposes of this new city system, a track cut is defined as leaving the legal bounds of the race surface and rejoining it, gaining a lasting time or positional advantage. The system has a number of parameters which calculate the severity of cut. Now, unless it's here, which I'm not seeing, now, it's saying here, the legal bounds of the racing surface. I think we're going to be looking at the white line, but on exits like this you might be able to run wider. I think mileage may vary and you'll be able to test that yourself. Just go and test the limits, you know, go and test the limits. Tender springs. I'm not going to pretend I know what these are, guys. I'm not going to pretend. The addition of tender springs marks another considerable physics improvement that has been added to this new build update. According to suspensonsecrets.co.uk, shout out, There are two main uses for tender springs. The first is for road use and bumpy circuits such as the Nürburgring, Nordschleife or Sebring. With the tender spring installed, the soft overall rate absorbs all of the lumps and bumps on the road surface, allowing the tyre to stay in contact with the ground instead of being bumped off the surface if only a stiff spring was being used. This keeps the car compliant and maintains high levels of grip through bumpy sections or over potholes, etc. Then once the car begins to corner, the tender spring is fully compressed quickly and the mainspring takes over to provide much better cornering stiffness, keeping the car flat, controllable through the corner. This is an important additional mechanical tool for our drivers to extract extra performance and, more importantly, balance with their virtual cars. Tender springs are used across a variety of different cars already available within rFactor 2, and in the coming weeks and months they'll be added to additional updates for additional vehicles, starting with the Porsche Cup car that released alongside the July release candidate. Now, I mean, I won't pretend I know what that is. Maybe we'll do it. If people want, I'll deep dive that and we can do another video. Let me know down in the comments. But it sounds like a secondary spring within the spring that isn't a shock absorber or damper. So that's interesting. And they say it's a significant physics thing. It's not something I've come across. This is a hefty video, guys, because we've still got the car updates to go. At last, finally players with more than their fair share of controller inputs on their racing rig can have everything plugged in. 16 USBs, button boxes and everything. Go for it. So car updates, huge list no doubt going on here. Toyota Corolla BTCC, logo issues, updated camera, fix for drag reduction with rake. Infiniti Q50, same fix and logos. Formula E, fix right mirror not adjusting. Porsche GT3 Cup, added tender springs. McLaren Senna, updated new engine sound. Added new traction control and ABS. Added shift protection. Added new engine cooling. Minor sound tweaks. Added ABS and TC LED bars to display. Made all three TC options say off when set to 0. LMP Orica added traction control. GTE cars, added new traction control and updated traction control and pit limiter sounds. BMW M3 GTE removed high poly rear wing collision model. Corvette CAR GTE updated engine start sound, seat height adjustment. Dallara IR18 fixed numbers not displaying on score tower. Fixed push to pass working on ovals. Added talent file. Car Cup removed tilt. Track updates. Wowzers. Donington fixed start light sequencing. Various AI improvements including craner curves and older hairpin. Various cut corridor updates. Improved AI lines into craner curves and old hairpins. So that is, if you don't know the nut corner names, that is out of turn 1 down the hill and then the right hander that leads you back up the hill. Through there they've improved the AI. Various AI tweaks. Fixed cut corridors at pit entry. Indianapolis, fixed oval safety car location. Updated curbs on modern GP layout. Turn 6 and 7. Reviewed cut corridors, adjusted concrete road bumpiness, minor LOD optimization. That's level of detail, guys, so you'll get a minor performance increase probably. Minor collision fixes, fixed minor collision issue, tweaks to AIW on road course layout, fixed objects with a default lodding, updated RRBIN, no idea, fixed oval safety car pit lane location. Zandvoort added new grandstands and paddock assets to GP layout, fixed pit door sequencing, added AI fuel calculations. Le Mans added 2022 layout with accurate advertisement, updated materials on roads, curbs, grass, gravel traps, etc. Added extra decals to surfaces, fine-tuned nighttime glare. Fixed some issues with TDF settings, fixed some Armco smoothing issues, fixed a material error on road line resulting in some lines not being tarred out, fine-tuned cut detection, stricter cut track, fixed floating MMA advertisement sign before Ford chicanes, updated specular settings for groove on roads and curbs. Massive update there for Le Mans. That's had a big overhaul, but of course they like to run 24-hour races there. Nordschleife, various material upgrade updates to terrain, foliage, barriers, minor textures, and so on and so forth. New content cars. You're going to see content on these. The Ford Focus ST BTCC and the Hyundai i30 have come to the sim. Fantastic. We'll be making content, and we'll be making content on the Caterham Academy, which fantastically is free. And the Mini Vintage, I mean, that's a fantastic car. You will have hours of fun in the Caterham Academy. Great to see it's free. And I mean, a classic Mini. Who wouldn't like that? And also new content with Worldwide Technology Raceway. No idea about it. I'm going to check that out and make content on it. But there it is. And it's looking beautiful with the texturing. And keep your eye out for extra content coming from the competition system, because I fully intend to make some content from that. But there we have it. That is a huge update. Love to see it. Absolutely fantastic. And rFactor 2, it is clunky. I get it. But it's so good. It really is. What's your favourite part of this update, and what would you like to see come to rFactor 2? Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. Please do remember to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.